welcome to this week's sim racing video, and for those of you that watched last week's, I'm sure you're all eagerly anticipating the outcome of this little experiment, this little idea that I had in the last couple of weeks. And I'm pleased to say, so far, so good. Now, let me show you what you need to do this brake pedal modification. You simply need some everyday household items. A cork, seriously, a cork from a wine bottle, and a knife out the kitchen. Now, you're probably thinking, what on earth is Carl on about? What's he up to with this cork and this knife? Well, let me explain. What you do is, what our objective here is to reduce pedal travel and increase stiffness of the pedal, increase firmness of the pedal, similar to other modifications. Now, you could change everything inside the pedal to do this, or you can grab a cork, you can chop. You need to grab a cork. Let me grab another piece here. 1 second. You need to grab a cork. This is the top of the cylinder of your Logitech brake pedal, and we'll go down here in a minute and I'll show you. But you need to choose a cork that fits just nicely inside like that. Don't navigate away just yet. Honestly, it works. So you choose a cork that fits just inside like that, and then you get your knife. And you see where it changes from the fattest point to the thinnest point. The fattest point is the bit that fitted nicely in that cylinder. So you're going to cut off the bottom piece here, leaving us with just that top bit there. And then what you're going to do is cut that in half, the remaining top piece, and then cut one of those halves in half again. And what that gives you is 3 pieces of cork of varying height, like this, okay? Maybe some of you are seeing where I'm going with this. 3 pieces of cork of varying height. Now, to install these, you simply choose one of those 3 pieces of chalk, one of those 3 pieces of cork, and you grab your top piece. Now, there's a white piece in there that actually needs to come out. So grab yourself a screwdriver and just give that a little ping around, and it should, there we go, it should come out like that. This is what goes in the end of the spring here and helps to centralise the spring. So this must always go in the end of the spring. There's also one in the bottom part of the pedal as well. So yeah, pop that out. Grab this, grab a 50p piece, or you could probably use a 2p piece, or anything that's thin and hard, like metal, maybe even a thick piece of plastic, and about this sort of size. And what we're doing here, we're going to pop that in the top of this. And what it's going to do is, basically, let me show you. It's almost the same size as the piece of cork. And what I was slightly concerned about when I was coming up with this stupid idea is that the spring pushes only around its outer edge here. There's nothing in the middle there. And I was concerned that it may sort of push through the cork and maybe tear the cork or distort the cork, or maybe it'd fall to pieces. So to spread the load evenly, or evenly-ish, over the cork, we use a 50p piece like this. Because again, inside here where that white thing was, there is a raised section equivalent to the height of that. And that is what we'll be pushing into the back of the cork. So if we put our 50p piece on the back, that spreads the load around the chalk. Why do I keep saying chalk? It spreads the load around the cork and will prevent it from breaking or falling to pieces. So, why do I keep dropping things? Right, apologies. So, put your 50p piece in there first. Then get whatever of your 3 pieces of cork you want to experiment with first. So the thinnest one probably reduces the travel about 25–30%. Medium one, probably 50 to 60%. And this big old boy that's left reduces it probably by 75 to 80% travel. So you can play around with those, you know, and see which ones you prefer. So you put your 50p in, you then get your piece of cork and you pop that in as well. So they're both sat in there. I probably need to come down here and show you the rest. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'm going to move the camera down here and show you the rest down here so we can see what we're doing. Bear with us 2 ticks. I think what I'm going to do before we put this modification in is just show you the pedal travel with the standard setup. So let's just put this back together as it was normally. Here's the little rubber insert that people always talk about, by the way. That goes at the bottom here. So once you get to a certain amount of travel, you're down pushing against that rubber. And let's just put that on the top and put this back in here. Now, I'm just going to use this Allen key because it's quick and easy to slot in and out compared to actually screwing it together. So here's our standard travel. Totally standard setup. You can see how far that goes, and that's before it hits the hard rubber. So we hit the hard rubber about here. So let's reference this bottom red piece here as our reference point. We hit the hard rubber inside there. So even a few mil beyond the bottom of that. And then of course you can push it even further, and that's the full extent of the travel. So let's whip this back out and put our modification in. So you leave your rubber in, you leave your standard spring in, get your 50p, get whichever piece of cork you decide to use. In fact, let's go with the middle one just to show you how sort of far you really can go with these. And of course you can combine them if you wanted to. It's fully adjustable and configurable. Let's put our white piece in the top of the spring here. We've got our cork and our 50p in there, and I'm going to just pop that over the top like that. Now you're going to find it harder to slide this on and put it in place because you're preloading the spring that's already there. But by preloading the spring, you're making it harder. So, pedal's still in the normal position, but now look how far I can go. It's stiff after only, what, 3 mil of travel. Now we're really stiff, and then to push it harder, look, I can barely get down to the bottom of the red there. So that has really reduced your travel and really stiffened the pedal up as well. Now my personal preference is the thinner one of the two because I am using this on a play seat challenge. If I have it this stiff and this hard, I lift the play seat up off the floor when I press it. So for me, that's way too much. And to be honest, you know, with the standard rubber insert alone, I have to calibrate it short anyway because it will lift the play seat up off the floor, which is a bit of a pain. But, so in fact, to be honest, for me, this modification is almost pointless because I fall into the category of people who already suffer with their seat lifting up off the ground. But nonetheless, it applies to everyone else that can do it. But I would like a slightly shorter travel. So I want to go with this smaller one and stick with that because I've tried it already and I'll take it back apart to show you guys. And yeah, I like it. I do have to calibrate it a little bit short, but that's just the way it goes. So what I'll do now is, because this is really important, we'll flick over to the computer because you now need to calibrate. Let me just change the camera for a second. You now need to calibrate your computer, or if you're on console, your sims, your games, for the new reduced pedal travel. Because obviously the pedal isn't going as far as it was before. So you may only, in theory, reach 50% braking force with the current calibration. Now, if you're PC, in Windows, you can do this in the control panel. You only have to do it the once, and then every single game will recognise the new shortened travel, and that'll be fine. You could also go into the individual games or sims and do it there. A lot of them have calibration options, and you should be doing that anyway, really. And even if they don't have calibration options, they'll often have like a saturation slider for each pedal, for your clutch, your brake and your accelerator, where you can set a dead zone at the beginning should you want it, and then at the other end of the saturation slider you set how far the pedal needs to be moved to hit 100%, so you can bring that slider down to match, you know, the new pedal travel as well. But what I'll do is I'll hop on the computer now, I'll bring up the control panel and show you how to do it there, and I'll load up something like Dirt Rally 2 and show you how to do it in there as well. So let's get over there and I'll take you through that. Okay, so the computer's fired up. We've got the Logitech G Hub software running in the background. It has to be running in the background, otherwise the game controller's control panel in Windows doesn't show it as being there. So that must be running in the background, in case you haven't got it to auto start. So once you've, let's get some screen capture on the go, otherwise I'm going to be talking and you're not going to see what I'm doing. So, right, so in the middle of the screen here, game controllers, control panels there, you can see Logitech G Hub G920. If we double click on it, it brings up our inputs. So we've got our accelerator, got our brake, got our clutch. Now, my pedals are sat on a cushioned puff back here at the far reaches of my arm. So I really can't press very hard at all, but you can see it's just about moving. Obviously, we've got reduced travel. Not as much as what it looks like, but that's just because I'm pushing it from miles away. But you can see we would need to calibrate this now, otherwise it's never going to reach 100% braking force. So click settings, click calibrate, click next. Obviously this wants to do the steering wheel as well. I'm just going to go next because the steering wheel's over there somewhere as well, and that isn't what we need to see. I will just do the pedals in case one affects another. I did the accelerator. We get to the brake, and this is where you push the pedal now as hard as you will ever want to press it. So if you're, well, I was about to say if you're in a play seat or a desk related setup, but you're probably not going to be if you're doing this mod. Anyway, forget that bit. This is where you press the pedal as hard as you ever want to press it. So if you want a really, really tough pedal to hit 100%, you push that pedal down with all the strength in your right leg, as hard as you can. And that will be what it now sets to 100% braking force. If you want, you know, just a medium resistance, press it a little bit, you know. But anyway, so I want to just give it some as best as I can with my hand on a puff and do what I can like that. There we go, and that's that done. And the clutch, of course, as well. And that's the calibration finished. So now, when I press the brake, I can press it all the way, look, 100%. No problems at all. So that new reduced travel that we've made by fitting that little cork buffer or spacer or whatever the hell you want to call it has now been calibrated, and every single sim and game is now going to see that range of movement as 0 to 100%. Now the only drawback is we've lost a little bit of resolution. Is it noticeable in game? Not that I can say I've noticed, no. Obviously there has lost some because we've reduced the travel, but I've not noticed any issues racing with it. You know, does it work? Does it reduce the travel? Yes. Does it stiffen the pedal up? Yes. Can you now modulate at the very end similar to other? Yes, you can. So all those things that you want in an improved brake pedal are now there for the price of absolutely nothing, because I'm sure everyone's got a cork kicking about at home somewhere. You know, if not, go buy a bottle of wine, have a little drink, or just open it and take the cork. take the top cylinder part of your brake pedal with you, and in the shop you can offer it up to all the corks in all the wine bottles until you find the one that fits just snugly inside, and then buy that wine. Hopefully it's a cheap one, especially not if you're a drinker, or especially if you're not a drinker, sorry. So that really is it as far as the control panel goes. That will now be done for every game. So let's just hop into Dirt Rally. I've got that running in the background. Hopefully it hasn't crashed. Yeah, brilliant. You go to options, you go to input settings. So this is, if you're on console, you won't have that control panel that I just showed you. So but the game, I'm guessing the game still has these options we're going to see here, because that's game specific, not platform specific. So you look down the bottom right there, you can go to device options or press Y, because you won't have a mouse if you're on controller, and you see it says calibrate device. Go into there, and it's going to take you through the same process that you just saw us do in the control panel in Windows, but it's doing it in the game. Now most good sims will have in-game calibration, so you can go through it exactly as I did a minute ago. I won't do it here because again I've got to try and reach everything and it won't let me. I don't think it will let me. Oh no, it is. So yeah, same thing. Look, we've done the steering wheel technically, and now we're doing the pedals, and you just register your maximum brake, and that's it. They're calibrated, and you can test them all here as well if you wanted to. But you get the idea. Every sim will have, every good sim will have its own inbuilt calibration. And even if it doesn't have inbuilt calibration like this, let's say you're on a games console, the game you're playing doesn't have calibration. I can't think of one, but I'm not a console player. It's bound to have the next option. On this one, we go to Edit Device, we go to Advanced Settings. Ignore that warning. I don't use a G920 on this setup. I use my main rig, which is why I'm getting button conflicts. Go to Advanced Settings. If you look down here, you've got various steering input saturations, throttle dead zone, throttle saturation, brake dead zone, brake saturation. Here, you can turn the saturation is how far you need to move the pedal to hit 100% braking force. If you leave it at 100%, if you leave it at 100 like it is here, you will need to move the pedal 100% of its reported travel. Now, if you're on PC and you've calibrated it in Windows, you can leave it at 100% because you've already calibrated it. If you've done the calibration here in game, you can leave it at 100%, you've already calibrated it. That's fine. If you can't calibrate in Windows and you can't calibrate in game, but you've got this slider, you can come down here and you can move it down to 50% travel, 30% travel, wherever you feel it seems to be working best. Now, what would be handy here is some sort of input bar to then show you how the changes you're making actually relate to what happens with the pedal press. But Dirt Rally doesn't. But Dirt Rally doesn't need to because it's got proper calibration. So, hopefully you understand what I'm saying here. And if you are in a situation where there's no Windows calibration, there's no in-game calibration, maybe there'll be some sliders, to the right here showing you what your pedal input's doing along with these options. This doesn't have it because it doesn't need to, because it's got proper calibration and it's in Windows, so I can calibrate it there as well. But let's just stop that screen capture. So, video feels a little bit rough to me. Hopefully it flowed well for you guys and you understand what we've done, why we've done it and how it works. But I'll just recap. You need a cork and a knife. Find a cork that fits snugly in the top part of your brake pedal cylinder. Cut the bottom piece off where it changes size, the bit that actually goes in the bottleneck. Cut that off because it's going to be too thin. And that just leaves you with that top bit that's a bit fatter. Cut it in half and then cut one of those halves in half again, leaving you with 3 pieces of varying thickness. Grab your 50p piece, whack that in the top to protect the cork, then put your chosen piece of cork in, whether you want 25% travel, 75% travel, 50% travel, wherever you want. Have a little play around, see how it feels, throw it all back together, calibrate it in Windows or in game, or adjust the saturation sliders, and boom, you're absolutely sorted. You've now got a pedal that has a much shorter travel, is quite a bit firmer from the off. There's still a small sort of area of like the first stage of travel is still a bit softer, and then it firms up. To be honest, it feels really good for what we've just done. It feels much more like a brake pedal than even some of the the spring modifications you can buy. Like my preferred springs, as I've said before, are the GTI springs, but you've still got all that travel, and that isn't very real. A car pedal does travel a few inches in a lot of cars, but I think it still travels further than what it would in real life. But with this really simple modification that's cost absolutely nothing, you've shortened your travel, you've increased the pressure and force you need to apply, to get it to move a little bit further. You calibrate it, in the computer or in game, and away you go. So I hope this somewhat silly idea is helpful to some people. I'm looking forward to playing around with it a little bit more and, getting a few hours in the seat and just seeing how well it holds up. But so far, so good, and I would love to hear if you guys do this mod, put in the comments, let me know what you think of it, because I honestly believe for what we've just done, you can't really go wrong. It ticks all the boxes and it costs sweet FA. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Give it a try. Please don't dismiss this before trying it. or write a comment based on, oh yeah, using a bloody cork, what a load of crap. Try it out. Honestly, go and give it a go. You will be surprised, you will be shocked, and it may be the best mod you ever do. Anyway, thanks very much for watching Carl Gosling's stupid idea of the week, and I'll catch you all in the next one. As always, take it easy.